everybody, it's Kathy and you're back in my craft room at Random Acts of Crafting. As you can see, I have some supplies laid out here on my desk. I have a red ink, I have my black VersaFine ink. I have a stamp set. This one is from MayMayMadeIt.com, and this is titled All Things. And I know we're doing Valentine cards, but when I think of love, I think of God, because God is love. And I thought for today's card, I could not do a series of love cards without bringing my faith into it. So for this card, I want to use this cute little grapevine wreath. That's what it reminds me of. It has a cute little heart that you can put in here, or you can leave this open. I am going to stamp inside. Because I'm going to be doing the stamping, I am going to bring out my little mini Misty, because I do want to use that, not the stamp block. So let's go ahead and get started. First thing I want to do is I have these pre-cut pieces of paper. When I'm not busy making cards, I will cut down card bases and I will file them away so that when I need them, I have it. So our card base is going to be 8.5 by 5.5, and then this is going to be the piece that I want to stamp on, so it's going to be our smaller piece, and we're going to mat it on this. So we are going to cut this piece down to 3 3/4 by 5. So when I get out my trimmer, so 3 3/4, it's going to put it right there. And let's open up our arm because we're going to cut it to 5. And then our pattern piece is going to be cut down to 4 by 5 1/4, 5 1/4. So right there. And then we should have everything that's going to line up on our mats and on our card base. So let's go ahead and prep this piece and get it ready to stamp. Now y'all know I have been really into the embossing, and I think I want to emboss this as well. So I'm going to move my pieces out. I'm going to bring my Misty in. I don't think I'm going to need these other magnets, maybe one, but I'm going to lay these away from each other because we know our magnets are not friends. They will cling together, sometimes they will break, and we don't want that. I'm going to just set this down into the corner of my Misty, and I'm going to bring this big magnet and put it right there, and maybe the little one here. And on my stamp set, I am going to pull off this wreath. I think this is so pretty. I think it's going to look gorgeous on our page or on our card. And I'm going to center it up about like that. Yeah, that looks good. And I'm eyeballing. I'm not measuring or anything. I'm just kind of eyeballing my distance. And I'm going to go ahead and pick that up. Anytime you pick up a stamp, especially if it's a stamp that you may not have used very often, and it has a lot of sticky to it, it will move your paper. So just go back in and reposition your paper. I do want to do that clear embossing again, using the crystal clear embossing powder. So I am going to prep my little piece by putting some of the anti-static powder down on it. And I'm going to get my coffee filter and my embossing powder, and I'm just going to have it sitting right here waiting and ready. Maybe I'll take the top off, but I am going to leave it sitting in the coffee filter. Now I'm going to grab my VersaFine Onyx Black, and I'm going to just ink this up really well. And I'm going to press that down. This piece of paper that I'm using is like a parchment paper. That did not ink as well as I would like it, so I'm going to re-ink it. Anytime you have a stamp that has a lot of surface to it, a lot of times you'll have to stamp it twice, and that's a good reason to have a stamp positioner. And that looks much, much better. So I'm going to pull this one out. I'm just going to wipe this off with one of my microfiber cloths. I'm going to lay my stamp over to the side just for now. And what I want to do is I want to get this embossed. So I'm going to bring it over. And I'm going to put my embossing powder all over. Any place that you don't feel like you've gotten the embossing powder, just just tap it, put a little bit more on it and tap it. Now I'm going to bring over my heat tool, and I'm going to heat this up for just a moment, so I'm going to silence it. Okay, we got this heated up really good. So now I'm going to hold it to my paper, and I want y'all to see the magic. Okay, we got that done, and look how pretty it looks. Look at the sheen. This is what I like about the heat embossing. You can't get that beautiful sheen that you get from embossing, like from just plain stamping. So that's why I love to do this. And I'm going to show you by using the clear. When we use our red, it's going to do the same thing, and that is what is so beautiful about this. So I'm going to lay this back in my MISTI, and again I want to make sure that I butt it into the corner, and I am going to put my magnets down on it to hold it really well. And now what I want to do is I'm going to bring this over to me just for a moment so I can get this lined up as perfectly as possible. That right there looks pretty good, so I'm going to bring my door over and pick up my stamp just like that. And now we're going to ink this up in red. We're also going to heat emboss this, which I think will be super cute. So, oh goodness, I'm going to do this one more time just to make sure, but I love the way that looks. That red on that black is just gorgeous. Alrighty, looks like we got that done very beautifully. So let's take it off. I'm just going to set this over to the side for right now. I'm going to bring my embossing powder back out, and I want to put the embossing powder now on that red. And I'm going to pour this back into my bottle. And we're going to bring that heat tool back over, and it's already warm, so we shouldn't have to preheat it like we did the first time. So I'm just going to put that down on the red and look at that transformation. That is gorgeous. I love how beautiful, bright, and vibrant it brought that red ink to. Again, if you've got inks, you can get one embossing powder and you can have any color of embossed image by using the clear over top of your ink. So another technique that you can use to make your card stand out and shine. I love this. So now we're going to do a sentiment on the inside. And I think since we're talking about Valentine's Day, let me clean this up because I am going to use my Misty one more time. And I do want to clean my stamp. And I will come back and clean these much better in just a little bit. But for now, I'm going to lay both of these stamps right here just to get them out of my way. And we know that we're going to come back with that. So what I want to do is I'm going to take this Love Bears, Believes, Hopes, and Endures. I mean, that is God in a nutshell, and that's what love is. Love is God. So I want to put this in the middle. So I'm going to put this down just like that. And I'll bring my bar over across the top, or maybe right here. And I want to get this centered into the center of this as best I can. That looks pretty good right there. And then I'm going to pick that stamp up. And we're going to do the same thing. We're going to emboss this as well. And I want this in red. Oops. Had a little bit of a suction on that stamp. I mean that ink. And that's okay. I like it when my inks close really well because we know that makes them last a lot longer. So we're going to stamp that down. And I'm going to do it one more time for good measure. And y'all look at me make a mess. Y'all know I always do, so you know this comes as no surprise. Alright, we're going to do the same thing. We're going to emboss this. I'll lay my Misty over there and we'll worry about cleaning that stamp after we finish making our card. So I'm going to sprinkle very liberally, I'll say it right in a minute, over top of the words. And we're going to bring the heat tool back out again. I know this is a lot of embossing, but it makes this look so beautiful. Now you could very easily make this card and just stamp it flat. You do not have to heat emboss all of it. You could even just do the cross and the words and it would be beautiful. But since I had taught you some techniques on embossing, I just wanted to show you how beautiful your embossing can be if you use different colored inks. It's just stunning. I did spill a little bit of my powder, so I'm trying to get that up so we can get it back in the jar. Waste not, want not. That was something that my grandmother taught me. As some of you know, my grandmother raised me. I was one of those children that was raised by their grandparent, and my grandmother was old school, and so I was raised in a very old school type environment. And you know, we don't venture too far from our roots and our raising. And I was raised to be conservative and not to waste, and I try to practice that even in my crafting. Okay, we are ready now to put this down on here, and look how pretty it looks on that piece of that mat. Well, this is actually our mat, and we're matting it onto that red swirl. I love this. I think it picks up the color of that parchment paper, and this is sort of a parchment type of cardstock. I love the way it looks. So, I feel like I got embossing powder and everything. I always tell y'all that. But we're just going to use some art glitter glue, and I'm going to put a good amount on the back of this. And then we're going to bring this down to our paper, to our cardstock. Up a little bit more. And there. That looks gorgeous. I love the way that looks. And now we're going to bring over our card base, and I'm going to score this in half, and in half because we have 8.5 inches. In half we'll make it 4 1/4. But let me get my pen in my glue, and we're going to grab us a tool. I think I'll go back and I'll reuse this. And we're going to go at 4 1/4, which will be our halfway mark. And we're going to fold this over. Now, you know, paper is not perfect. We all know this. So if you do your fold and you have a little bit of a buckle, hold your paper where it comes together, and just fold it out. Just like that. Alright, let's move the scoreboard out of our way. Like I said, this is going to be a relatively simple card, but I think it is gorgeous. We got a little warping right there from our heat tool, but that's okay. I want to show you another technique. I don't know if it will work with the, well, we'll do that another day. I don't want to mess this up at this point, so I'll try this technique offline and make sure it works before I bring it to you. So now we're going to put this card base, these mats onto our card base just like that. Stunning card. I love the simplicity of it, and I think it turned out gorgeous. So we're just going to take and glue this down to our card base, just like that. And now we're going to need another card base on our mat for the inside. And I've got some cut over here, but we will need to cut this down because this would fit perfectly in here, and I want a little bit of a border around it. So let's get our trimmer back out. Alright, we know that our card base is 5.5 by 4 1/4, so I'm going to cut this down to 4 this way and 5 1/4 this way. And my stamps are wanting to not cooperate, so we're going to lay them over here. And now I'm going to put this down in here. And I am going to look for a stamp that has something to do with God and love. And if I can't find what I'm looking for, I will definitely write a note to depict my feelings on this card, which is God is love. I love the way this came out. I love the message on it. I love the fact that it does have love on it. You could also, if you wanted to, you could punch some hearts from that same paper. Let's see, I have a piece right there, which would be adorable. Let me get my little heart punch out again. I have really put this little punch to the through the ringer this week. But we're gonna just punch some little willy-nilly hearts. And let's just see how they look. If they were just scattered around, looking like that they came out from underneath the paper. And I think we need another one. I love the way that looks. I think it's so cute like that with those hearts. So I am going to put these on, and I'm going to glue these directly down. I don't think they need dimension or anything. They can just go flat to the card. And that just goes to show how you can make a Valentine card even using a Christian stamp set. And I am going to make sure that all of our measurements are falling under our video and also in the description. I hope you enjoyed the process of watching me make this card. This was so much fun. I absolutely love this grapevine, and you could find other stamp sets that have sentiments that would work inside of that, and that gives you a great platform for so many different things. I want to thank you so much for joining me today for our 7th. What an appropriate God loves you kind of card. Number 7, God's perfect number. I just want to thank you so much for tuning in, for watching my video. If you like this card, please give me a thumbs up. Leave me a comment. Let me know what you think. I love this. Isn't it gorgeous? And look at the sheen on the cross and the vine. I love it. I hope you enjoyed it as much as I did making it. And if you make something like this, please go over and share it on our Facebook group. It's Random Acts of Crafting by Kathy Champion. And also, I do have a store. So if you're interested in checking out my store and seeing what kind of products I have in there, the website will be listed below as well as right here on this video. So again, God bless you always. Let everything you do and say bring glory to Him. For He is so worthy of our praise and our honor and our glory. And until we craft again, God bless you all. I love you. Bye-bye.